In fact, the two institutions currently in this whole issue, including even the presidency and government, you have had opportunity of serving in all of them. So in Ssnit, you spent some time in Ssnit. You were also at the MPRA. You even did some work within organized labor and then government. Now, from that experience, what are your observations of how this whole matter has been handled?
From my experience as the former National Union Chairman of Ssnit for a period of 8 years and the manager in charge of Ssnit Hote Operations Coordinator and NPRA CEO, the whole deal stinks. The whole deal is a calculated attempt to kill a public assets for private use. Why am I saying so? Now we have Ssnit. The reason for Ssnit venturing into hotel investment was the fact that the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, who was then the head of Ghana Tourism Board, called on Ssnit to do the heavy liftings by buying or developing hotels to promote tourism in Ghana. That is why if you go to La Palm, Labadi, and other hotels, they are the key hotels for major airlines in the world that comes here. So the rationale of Ssnit entering the hotels was for two purposes: improve Ghana's tourism industry and also safeguard the interests of workers when they retire. Several things have happened that have brought the Ssnit into this kind of disrepute. One of them is the fact that people thought erroneously that because Ssnit was not paying them well when they go on pension, they thought a second and third tier could be an option. And I am saying to you on authority that we need to review that position critically. One, pension is a function of your salary, not allowances. So if as unions you go on negotiations and improve much of your allowances because they are not taxable and keep your salaries low, your pension right will be very low. Two, Ssnit investments are prescribed for certain investments policies, and those policies are the same policies, or securities are the same securities the second and third tier companies are also investing in. So I am yet to get people to tell me how beneficial the second and the third tier has added up to the pensions of workers. I am yet to have an evaluation report on that. But be it as it may, let us come back to what we are talking about now. Ssnit is not an implementing agency for hotel management. So often what they have done was to find somebody from their investment department to go and head these hotels. Or at best they came to understand that there are world-class hotel management companies in the world. So they brought in a group from South Africa, which managed to turn the fortunes of one of the hotels up. But on the coming into office by this government, they terminated that contract, and now we are in court. The company is in court with government, likely to extract a judgment debt. Then they started appointing their own cronies to manage these hotels. Now, if you go to the hotel they are talking about, you want to know the background of those that this government or the current Ssnit board have posted to head this company they are declaring bankrupt. That is the core problem of the institutions. It is not that the companies and the hotels are not being patronized. No. Elmina Motel or Elmina Hotel remains the biggest and the strongest hotel in the central region. The second most populous hotel is the Rich Way Hotel, which was recently constructed. As for Labadi and Lapam, we all know their efficacy in the ecosystem. So I found it very extremely strange for them to say that they were running at a loss. A little investigation showed that the management cost was higher than operation cost. Management cost was higher than the operations cost. For example, a general manager, one of the managers, was made to act in the stead of another, and within 3 months he was charging $3,000 for acting allowance. If you are making such expenses, how would you not run at a loss? Again, the frontage of the Labadi and Lapam Beach was a very attractive tourist center for local tourists. So people had made the place their feeding property. And that has taken off another source of revenue from the hotels. So the issue of the Labadi, Lapam, and the rest of the hotels is not because they are not making profit or they are not capable of making profit. It's as a result of bad management decisions and bad management postings to those places.
So for you, these hotels should not have even been on the tables to be sold at all.
At all. So in our local palace, we say we don't sell the golden hen that lays the eggs, do we? Now, you see, when this government recklessly decided to do the artificial shaving, started shaving people, they shaved off our salary, our contributions, our pensions, and our monies in the bank, isn't it? The real estate component of Ssnit investment had not been touched. So it is a sign for you that in times of this nature, you keep on to your real assets, like the hotel. You don't give them off. Now, Ssnit has lost over 18 or so percent to the private sector. Therefore, its strength had been reduced. Many institutions have been collapsed, like the banks and other institutions, and therefore they have lost members who should have contributed to the scheme. Do you understand that? Yes. And now 60% of current assets that should also be bringing in revenue, you are taking that 60% off. I think this is a very reckless decision. It is a most reckless decision any management could have taken. Now, to my MPRA, I was so disappointed when all of a sudden they reversed their decision that they approve of the sale of this, and that inducing the Minister for Labour to go to Parliament to proudly wear MPRA shirts and announce that now the sales can go on. The sales can go on to who? The sales is going on to one Minister of State, a politically exposed person who is alleged to be doing well in hotel management. That is a subject matter for discussion at another time. But Honorable Okudjato's expose have shown that that claim is as faulty as a fault. That the hotel could not have been said, that hotel could not have been said to be doing better than the Ssnit hotels that they are going to sell off. That was the reason that NPRA decided to say what has been said. Why did the NPRA board not meet to take that decision? Why did the NPRA Director General on his own give this decision out? What investigations did NPRA do to give out this decision? These are matters that should be investigated in the request for people saying that the board of NPRA, the management of NPRA and Ssnit management should be dissolved. Well, I take it as a very positive step, but I also don't think that it should be a big sweeping brush, sweeping everything aside. At the time, we have not put in place mechanism for take over and hand over so that the systems can run properly. So this is a very good eye opener for me. I am very, very celebrant of Honorable Okujato Ablakwa. You know, when he started this, people vilified him, people insulted him. I saw a video of some crooked boys that was saying that claiming to be Ashanti youth, whatever name they call themselves, saying that Okujato was attacking accounts. What nonsense, arrogant nonsense that people should think that he was following funky Ashantis. If it is account people who are misbehaving, they should be changed. Now see what has happened. Okujato single-handedly has saved a national asset for the good of this country for the future to come.
Now let me read to you. And first of all, I would like to ask you what you think should happen to the Ssnit Director General, the board, and the NPRA. Should we just take the decision not to sell the hotels as victory and move on for the workers of Ghana?
Not at all. The appointment of Osafo Mamfu's son into Ssnit is in itself cantankerous. Very, very cantankerous. You know, at the time I worked in Ssnit did not even have deputy director generals. Now they have two of them. You know, and in Ssnit, deputy director general salary and others, all up to the cost of management. What has Osafo Mamfu's son added to the Ssnit since he came? The Ssnit sale of assets is part of the Japadia document. Have you seen the Japadia document? So it was a scheme by this government to oust the former Director General to bring in Osafo Mamfu's son to catalyze the sale of this asset to the Agriculture Minister. I stand firmly on this, that I believe that the ousting of the former Director General was due to this sale. I am saying so, fortified by the fact that this Osafo Mamfu's son did not go through the Public Service Commission for his appointment, which is the required law. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think that his position in Ssnit itself is not grounded on law. And if he had any morality in himself, he should have resigned. You know, how does he take it that his father was saying that the public services was full, but he could find an appointment in Ssnit? You know, and I am sure organized labor should not end up. It is not strike alone that solves problem. But this, unfortunately, this government has shown that it's only strikes that can move it. Otherwise, after that strike, when they sit down and the president does not come in as usual, Ssnit should be found to be doing a proper test in the interest of workers. But I think that the second day of stay of the Director General does not have any justification whatsoever. He does not add anything to the Ssnit, but take what does not do him. What has he done in Ghana for him to become the Director General of Ssnit? What does he know about Ssnit? What does he know about pensions?
See. Now, having said that, this is what he says in response to calls for him to resign. Quote, if you have a duty to improve performance, you do not try to do something about it. Is that a real cardinal sin? In looking to improve the performance of underperforming assets, I don't think that is wrong. You don't manage a portfolio without doing anything. I think something has to be done. I don't think that it is ever possible that everyone will have the same solution in mind. Some people philosophically oppose the simple fact that private investors have been brought in. You can never change their minds. That's his response, that the fact that you disagree with him as to what should be done to the hotels, it shouldn't be grounds for you to call for his resignation.
I think there's something psychologically wrong somewhere. You know, this government's solution to a problem is to destroy it. You know, you see how they have destroyed all the local banks that we put together. When the banks needed just 9 billion to come back to sustain the local economy, They have spent over $25 billion CDs to destroy the local banks. Now you have been made a director general. There is a part of your investment that is not functioning. And is that not the reason why we put you there? That with your expertise and that of your colleagues, if you turn things around, is turning things around, does that turning things around mean destroying it or turning it over to private sector? Does the asset belong to him? Does the asset belong to government? No. This asset does not belong to government. The assets belong to the workers. And the board of board of trustees. That's why they are not called board of directors. They are board of trustees. They are trustees. And in the law of trust, the last person to enjoy the trust property is the trustee. The trust of this social security is with government, isn't it? That these workers, our main trustee is the government, and therefore any agent of government is a trustee of the state property. So, Brandon Champon, as a state trustee, has no right to benefit from any property of the state. If he was a private citizen, not paid from the contingency fund, then he can take that investment decision. But as far as he's a politically exposed person, a cabinet minister at that, he cannot sit in the cabinet for such decision to be taken, knowing all the facts, and he arming himself with these facts to then go to Ssnit to bid and outbid all others. Now, if you read the same report, you will be sad that Ssnit took that decision in spite of the fact that the consultant advised against Brandon Champon's takeover of the 60%, because the consultant properly identified that that's Rock City did not have the capacity to even pay the required amount. He was only going to pay half for the investment to be turned over to him. Then he would have used the resources of the hotels to pay off what he should have paid off upfront. If the management of Ssnit needed money to restore the hotels, now they are going to spend 3 months or 3 years losing the hotel and losing revenue as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that investment decision that they wanted strategic investor is fraud. Even by the recommendation, why did Ssnit board ignore the recommendation by some company? Why did they do that? Why is it that Brandon Champon was given better conditions than other bidders who had to fall out? If the other bidders have been given the same conditions of installment payment, don't you think they would have also bid properly? There's everything wrong with this decision, and I blame the Ssnit local union shamefully. I blame the management. I blame the MPRA and its board for acquiescing to political pressure for this golden egg to have been sold.
Ambassador, let me conclude by asking you whether you think how should this matter be resolved going forward? Because now Organized Labour is calling for consultations. They want to understand the real situation in which Ssnit finds itself, which other assets are problematic, and then perhaps maybe an agreement can be reached as to what should happen to those assets going forward. Is that adequate enough?
See, it was not for nothing that there are 4 members of the Organized Labour on the board. If it comes to voting, the collective vote on these 4 would outnumber every other group of interest on the board. You understand? So I am amazed how our representative, the representative from Labour, sat down for all these years for this transaction to be cooked. I'm very, very disappointed. But as Organized Labour ASF has accepted that responsibility, we leave them for them. But you know, there are some astounding issues which I caution the Labour movement to be careful. There is this past credit which has to be transferred to the private sector. You know, what people have not known is that most of this private sector second and third tier schemes are being managed by enterprise insurance. and enterprise fund management. What most workers don't know is that when the unions form their second tier and third tier and take the money, it's given to Foriata to manage. I've done MP and I kicked against it and I had a lot of problems. That every one scheme that was being registered came with operators company, one company or the other. So if we did proper investigations and know where all these private sector investments are supposed to be launched in the private sector, you will know that it's all going mostly to operator companies. That's why I am amazed that the workers are agitating so loudly that their money should be taken from the government quarters to private sectors, and they don't even go on to know who these private actors are.
That you're suggesting as it tier 2 and tier 3. When those monies are taken, they go directly to kind of Oriata's businesses.
Yes, you see, there should be there are fund managers who are supposed to be managing the assets of this tier 3 and tier 2 and tier 3. Now, call the MPIA boss to tell you who are the fund managers most of this tier 3 and tier 2. Most of them are enterprises companies. Most of them are enterprise companies. And I can tell you on authority. I can tell you on authority that most of them are having that associations of Oriata responsible, and it is repugnant.
I see.
I caution Labour to be cautious, because I know for a fact that with the investment and other things that Ssnit have made with workers' money, it's only that they are not managing it well. If the past credits are deducted from Ssnit portfolios today, it's likely Ssnit will collapse. So in our quest to improve the situations, I think cool heads will prevail. Some people like us who have worked all through are prepared to help Labour to navigate through the situation. But the frontal attack on Ssnit, I don't think is the best. Ssnit has got bad management, but that does not mean that Ssnit as an institution and its concept are bad. The best thing to do is to remove the current management, and then as a country, we will look for proper experts on pensions to manage the Ssnit. Why do you bring, with the greatest respect to journalists, with the greatest respect, a journalist to head an actuarial organization like Ssnit? Ssnit is an actuarial organization. So, Elizabeth Ohini may be very good in communication. Elizabeth Ohini may be very good in public affairs, in relations. Ohini, but he hasn't got an actuarial base. For Ssnit, every decision you take should have an actuarial basis that in 10 years, if you take a decision, such a decision is what will happen. So we should send knowledgeable people on the subject matter. I mean, take my excuse again. I'm not denigrating the media or journalists about this, not at all. But if you are appointing Director General of Ssnit, he must or she must have an actuarial base to understand the actuarial computation of what must happen for the investments and other things of Ssnit.
I see. Thank you, Ambassador, for speaking to us.
Elizabeth Ohini is a pensioner. What is her interest?
Okay.
What is her interest as being a pensioner? When you are going to buy, when a board is going to buy chairs for the boardroom, but all the board members are lizards, what chair would they buy?
When a board is going to buy
chairs for the boardroom,
and all board members are lizards.
All the board members are lizards. What chairs would they buy?
Well, but you also.
I'm asking you, what chairs would they buy?
No, but even as a pensioner, I'm also assuming that you need somebody with a lot more experience to steer the affairs of Ssnit.
You need a lot more, somebody with a lot more experience in what? Experience in what? So do you understand what I'm saying? Experience in what? Elizabeth, I know her very well. His experience in mass media communication and so many things. That's the expertise. But he's not an expert in actuarial institutions. So I believe that going forward, if you want to safeguard why Kwame Nkrumah established the Ssnit, Kwame Nkrumah established the Ssnit for two purposes. One, for capital accumulation, for national development, and secondly, to safeguard the interest of workers when they go on retirement. So, if you want to safeguard these two principles, then we should change the management of the current management of Ssnit, because they don't have the capacity to deliver. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's Ambassador Sampiali joining us on the line, former CEO of National Pensions Regulatory Authority, sharing some thoughts on where we are currently with the matter of the Ssnit hotels. So the decision has been made. They are putting all of that on hold. In fact, they've stopped it. They've stopped the process. Organized Labour says, no, that is not enough. The fact that you've gone that far alone means that there may be a lot more happening that our attention may not have been drawn to. How many of those assets do you have? How many of them have you disposed of? What is the state of the monies we are contributing to you? What are you using those monies for? What about some of the investments you've made that have turned out to be very poor and bad? What happens to all of them? Before I take a break, you first.
Aquataps. Ya the tunsuum. Water disinfection tablet. O the tunsuum no makumu amwani nyina. I assemble benson so no cra taste no. Asesa Aquataps e kama pa. You see no and a bina me tunsuum. Me bu enso pipe ni si wasa na na me bia tututumwa. Aquataps water disinfection tablet. Aquataps free save hosena. Na no yare huru nuaba ne atosode fruit and vegetables ne do ro ho fefefe. Eno ma sign the Aquataps surface disinfectant ni biaba. Eno no me come for the ama Eric. And me be able to say floor door handles nyina betimi dia pa fefefe. Oye otenya ho pa junior Aquataps surface disinfectant ni bia. And the other papa hu nyina fefefe sa. And we di obi bia ehia bi homes, offices, air water production companies, hotels, restaurants, and office in schools. Obi bia ehia bi. I obetimi friend penifon kran ha 02090777726 02090777726 Kumasi 05016942275 05016942275 and Mr. Kill dra and Ghana mema nyina agya tum se drone e kama papa omaka samudi ho adanse a ebechen kuri Kunlun Ghana Limited for ne diaba Mr. Kill drone boa mema ye papa good for male vitality boa mema msisi mkotodwa hoden ene munya sa hoden dia aka ni nyina mwankasa modia ope Mr. Kill ni bi etimi ato Ghana fa na bia pharmacy chemical herbal shop bia no onsa ebetimi akabi eho ebia na opese oni Kunlun Ghana Limited fodin sa so omuno no bebrina na aba from 0244 139 176 0244 139 176 and I say 0204 139 176 0204 139 176 Mr. Q no me money nyina age so ma me say be a real man.
And of course, if it has to be internet, make sure it's Ssnit broadband. They offer fixed unlimited monthly internet packages with 24/7 customer support. Ssnit is ideal for businesses and homes. Ssnit broadband provides reliable and high-speed internet for all. You can locate their offices at Tabora Junction. Call the number 054 3906 269 for further inquiries. Install Ssnit in your home or office. Ssnit browser non-stop. We have to take a break. When we come back, our MPs say police should not catch them. Like when they breach the traffic rules, the law should be changed so that police cannot catch them. Because as for them, their job is different.
They be busy.
So that's why they are always rushing. So they might breach a few traffic rules. So they should be allowed to even ride through the road.
Traffic crowd
privilege. They want a lot more.
So almost doctors so
they will add doctors.
And a lawyer for ni a judges for so beka.
Oh, then there'll be a lot of guys in this who wear white, who wear overall.
Then now is a zebra crossing or cranny a bon for. A zebra crossing horn. It's a crowd never seen me bro. Zebra crossing almost for you. But you could drown with Jack and work.
No, they won't.
Oh, you know,
They won't. Anyway, that's an interesting discussion. That's coming up. So, but first, a break. We'll be right back.
Hey, have you heard? Third Eye Care and Vision Center is at it again. Oh, they are giving a 50% discount on everything, including glasses and glaucoma tests to everyone 60 years and above. And this is actually an everyday thing. Oh,
Inke anyemi lele, keji oye 60 years kaya. Ni ote Third Eye Care